Hello and welcome back to my channel where I'm showing you some early thoughts, projects, teasers about things that are being worked on in the Fyne universe. And FyshOS is part of that universe. It is a Linux-based distribution where all of the apps that you see on screen are built using Fyne and the Go programming language. So you can see how rich applications are pulled together and maybe work on them yourself. They're designed to be super easy to get into. Now, one of the great things about the Fyne desktop, which is the graphical platform that the entire application ecosystem sits on top of, is that built using Fyne, it could work on all sorts of different systems. But being a Linux window manager or Unix window manager, you don't get to show that off too much. So here I wanted to explore just a little bit what I'm doing to show the capabilities. Now, you can head to GitHub. The FyneDesk project is inside the FyshOS organization. Here you can see the code is organized much like any other project, and we have a screenshot of what's possible. Head along and check it out if you haven't already. But in case you hadn't guessed, the desktop that we're looking at just now is absolutely the FyneDesk. We have multiple virtual desktops, we have an application launcher and a terminal that pops down from the top as well. All sorts of niceties here, and the plugin system down here I will talk more about another time. Today I just wanted to talk literally about the desktop itself and what we can do to show the capabilities of the Fyne system it's built with. So I'm going to just open up the source code for the project. We'll go to our terminal and change into the directory. And as you can see, I'm working on a branch at the moment called Web Demo. So the platform has been built for X11. We added some abstractions so that you could run it as an application when you're on Mac or Windows, so you can work on the code without having to boot into a Unix system to test it out. But I wanted to go one step further and actually bring the desktop experience into an embedded situation that works everywhere. And so I started on accessing it through the web. Now, using Fyne Serve, we can run this project and have people load it in a web browser. I've just realized we're in the wrong directory. This is a big project. The binary, actually there's multiple binaries, so FyneDesk is in this folder, and I'm just going to run Fyne Serve, and that has booted the Fyne desktop at this web location. So I'll take that and go to the browser, and then we paste that into the URL bar, and we can see the desktop has loaded inside the web browser. We've got something similar to our main bar down here. It's not got all of the modules loaded because they've not all been made available yet. The browser doesn't have access to your battery, and I'm not too sure about the display and sound management either. And over here you can see that the applications listed are different. Because I wanted to have something that was a full experience to work with, to develop with, it doesn't access the native local applications by default because we want to load applications that are going to work inside the browser. And so this clock icon loads a clock. This is a very simple Fyne application from the examples repository that loads a clock. We can maximize that and put it back again. And also there's a tic-tac-toe game. I think this also comes from the examples repository. There's not a huge amount of a game there, but really it's just a proof of concept to show something that I'm working on. My aim is that this could be perhaps made available as a library so that you could have multi-application interactions like a desktop for your own project. Who knows what this could be useful for. Now, I said this is about working on multiple different platforms, and then I wondered if your thought was going to where mine was, that there's lots of interesting platforms that could do with something like a desktop system that aren't a traditional desktop. Like an application launcher or something where you want to manage multiple applications. So I've got a funny feeling that this could be really interesting on mobile as well. So we'll go back to our terminal, and I'm just going to cancel that. The application is going to keep running because it's just WebAssembly in the background. But whilst I'm here, and this really is early preview kind of stuff. I've not really tested this and it's certainly not optimized. However, we can run this code, go run, with tags mobile to be a simulation of a mobile environment rather than compiling it to a specific device and deploying and having you sit here whilst I do that. Let's just run the application, ignoring all of the errors. Like I said, this is super early days and there is a lot of work to be done. But if you can think, this same code is now essentially running on something like an Android device. Clearly a fairly small screen that we're simulating here. But imagine what's possible if we have the portability of the entire ecosystem, everything from the apps on top all the way through to the runtime, the desktop equivalent Springboard app launcher, and you could just develop it on your computer, use it day to day, and then deploy it to your mobile device. I think it's pretty cool. Cross-platform in its truest of senses is a really interesting place to be. I hope you enjoyed that little teaser of what's possible with the Fyne technologies for building cross-platform applications and where we can see some of that going in the future. It's a little bit rough around the edges, of course, but sometimes when you're taking a platform built for one system, it does have a little bit of work required to deploy to completely different environments, but the power is there, and as I polish up the project, I'll show you more. Thanks for being here. Whilst I've got your attention, please do check out my blog and where you can find me by visiting my website andy.xyz. You'll find more videos on YouTube, but do consider signing up to Patreon, where you can get early access to videos like this and others, to newsletters, and a possible opportunity to feed into this. What would you like to see more of? Where should we be working? It'd be fantastic to see you there. There's membership tiers right across the spectrum from just $1 a month, but up to a level where I can help you with your code as well, and we could collaborate on something. Hopefully I'll see some of you there. Have a great week. I'll see you again soon.